Hello everyone and welcome. I'm so excited to be here today again with another gorgeous, beautiful woman, Amberlee. And Amberlee is a soon-to-be graduating practitioner of Yoni massage. And I've brought them all here to you to meet them and to get to know them and to find out who these women are, what their journey has been, and where they are most importantly, so that you can access them and find them. So today I have the beautiful Amberlee, who is coming to us all the way from Wellington in New Zealand, where she is. She is the one and only New Zealand practitioner, which is very exciting. I'm super excited that we have this in New Zealand for women to access. So welcome, gorgeous, beautiful Amberlee. And I want you to begin by just telling us a little bit about who you are, what's your story, and why did you want to be a Yoni massage practitioner?
Okay, so like you said, I'm currently living in Wellington, New Zealand. How I ended up coming to Yoni massage was kind of like a little bit of a long story, and there were quite a few reasons why I ended up here. But basically, after I finished uni in Hamilton, I went back to my hometown and got like a really great job for a graduate as a health and safety coordinator at a sawmill. But I was constantly challenged with being in an environment where a lot of women in Australia working in the mining industry and stuff will be able to relate, where I was constantly being challenged for being a woman and then also being a young woman, and also being like a reasonably intelligent woman, having gone to university and everything.
Intelligent woman.
Yeah. And the kind of two options that you have are really to just either put up with it, turn into a raging bitch, or sort of fully just embrace any kind of masculinity you can and hide within that. So I ended up hating it. I ended up being super depressed. I ended up attracting the most toxic relationship that I have ever had as a direct reflection of myself, which was awesome because it kind of like pushed me to getting help, which I started one-on-one coaching with a good friend of mine, Kayla Anderson. And when I was doing that with her, so she does what's like sort of like self-love and self-development coaching. When I was doing that with her, I was listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and I was really drawn to anything that was talking about feminine and masculine energy, because I knew that was such a struggle for me, and that was really what had got me into such a low place, was that I wasn't worth anything as a woman, because I was either just being sexually harassed and with really disgusting, gross comments, or I was being made to feel really small and unimportant in my position in my job. And yeah, so I kind of was really drawn to that sort of stuff, because that's where I felt like I was needing to be healed most, or maybe firstly. And then I stumbled across this amazing podcast that you featured on, and thought, fuck, that's awesome. And I just had this, like, it didn't feel like anything you were saying was new. Like, it was all exciting, but it didn't feel like it was new information. And it just felt like, yeah, it was just old stuff that I knew that you were just reminding me of. And then I sort of ended up quitting my job, going overseas, and then coming back and moving straight down to Wellington. And somewhere in that time, just before that, I think you had announced that you were starting to train women in this modality, and there was not really any question or discussion or any real pro con list or anything. I was just like, yep, okay, that's me.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I was like, that was it. And like, it was sort of for many reasons too, to like heal myself, but also to maybe be in a better position to help women that do still want to work in that area and that do still want to push through that, because obviously, you know, we can't all run away from it. and find something else. But it's not in particular for me, but maybe I can be in a better space that makes those places a better workplace for women and safer, and not where the HR manager's telling you that that's just kind of what you have to put up if you want to work in the industry, which seriously, what the fuck?
That's so,
but yeah,
so much fucking wrong with that.
But it was kind of a big like, oh, okay, this is not the place for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, I think that's so fucking important. Like, you know, a sawmill, like, that's such a fucking testosterone saturated environment. And you're right, it's like women shouldn't be afraid to work in there. The women should be able to work in there and thrive in those settings. And that's also, I think that's so important that you have that background and that's who you are, because, you know, it's like, how do we change these things? How do we break apart these toxic fucking patterns of masculinity that we all have, not just men, if we don't address that within ourselves? And, you know, and I love that that's what you were driven to do and did for yourself. But yeah, you're right. Like, you need to support those women then who are in those industries and in these male-dominated fields to feel safe in the power of their feminine, and, you know, to not abandon it because that's what we think we have to do. Like, it's just weak in this thing that we have to turn to the masculine power to do anything, make any change, to be that. So I love that, you know, you're an example of what masculine power and the balance of feminine power can do for someone. It's like, I think that's a really beautiful thing to do. And you also are very fortunate to live in the country with one of the most amazing leaders in the world with an incredible example of feminine power and leadership. Like, perfect. Excuse me. But yeah, I think I love that about you, and that you have found that balance within yourself. And, you know, I know that this training has been quite a journey for you, and within discovering things about yourself and who you are and how you show up in the world. And do you want to share with us the story of what happened for you when you got back from overseas and how you were kind of just brought to ground zero? Again, you can share as much or as little as you like, but I think that that's a really beautiful story.
It's good. So I was like a little bit of a control freak before going overseas, but that's what I had to do, though. I had to fully slip into that masculine 24/7 to protect myself, and to be safe in my body, be safe in my workplace, be safe in my friendships and my relationships. That was what felt like the safest place. And then, basically when I got back from overseas, I ended up having to come back a week early because I found out I was pregnant. And so when I got back to Wellington, a week early from what was supposed to be the most life-changing trip overseas with the girls, we then got robbed that same weekend that we moved down, because it's quite a drive from where we were. So we'd been maybe driving 8 hours, 9 hours already. It was dark, it was raining, we couldn't bring the stuff in, so we left it out in the ute, and everything got taken.
And that's like everything, all of your possessions, everything you own.
All of my possessions, all of my clothes, absolutely everything. And I had been working really hard on like cutting down on my material possessions. So I'd literally got it down to just 2 boxes of the clothes that I wear every single fucking day. And got it down to all the possessions that I actually absolutely want and need and that feel good to have. And then I was like, boom, okay, got to be more specific with the universe. So I got back to Wellington. I didn't own a single thing except for like a couple of bikinis and dresses from being in Europe, which, like, coming back to a New Zealand winter in Wellington, not great. I didn't have a job, so I was trying to like job hunt without any work clothes, and then and then having to come back early to deal with trying to book a termination in, because we were not ready for it, which was for good reason as well. And yeah, everything just absolutely fell apart, and I was just so broken, and I wasn't going to be able to go on the course anymore. And I had just deliberated for days, just trying to think there's going to be some other way it's going to change, and I'm going to be able to go, it's going to work out, it's going to be fine, until I just had to call you and be like, I actually can't, it's just fallen apart, it's not going to work. And then at the time you sort of said to me, what can we make to make this happen, because I want you to still be able to say yes.
Yeah.
Which was because if this is another no in your face, like, you probably won't say yes again. And that was just extremely like, whoa, I had to fully just give in and surrender to the fact that it wasn't going to happen, and realize how heartbreaking that was for me as well. Like, I was absolutely shattered. And I just couldn't believe that that was my reality, admitting that it wasn't going to happen. And then it still did. So, and for me as well, on a energetic level with the termination, what I actually only realized it sort of like a week or two ago, was that in that process, like, that soul that came into my body fully would have known that it wasn't going to stay there, and that the lesson was to teach me that I wanted to do this so much more than I wanted to have a child, and I wasn't ready to have a child because I wanted to do this. So not doing this, in a sense, would just be like a complete and utter waste. And not really showing any respect or value in that whatsoever.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was a big week. That's a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. Like that. Yeah, that's massive. That's so big. And I remember speaking to you in that week, because you had reached out and you were like, my life is fucked. I cannot do this. It just can't happen. And I could see in you the potential. And I could see your yearning, that you wanted to do this work. And it was more than wanting to do it. It was like you remembered you had done this work before, and it was like, and I could see that in you, and this desire to do it. And so I wanted to support you in that, to do whatever you needed, or to support you however you needed to do that. And that meant you actually saying yes, and you taking support, and not being this fucking self-sufficient, independent woman who can do everything on her own, in that masculine energy, just going, okay, I'm going to lean into this and say yes to being supported, which I think was more of what you said yes to than actually saying yes to the training. It was really
about, and that was the hardest part.
Yeah,
and it has been the hardest part since the retreat as well, is still learning how to take help and be okay with taking help, and being okay with being supported, and being okay with someone else holding me and scaffolding me and leading me, and just like completely being vulnerable and surrendering to everyone else, and not having to do it all by myself, which shouldn't be that hard. Like, when you say it out loud, it sounds ridiculous, but it was really hard.
Yeah, no one likes to be vulnerable. We do everything in our power not to be vulnerable. So for you, saying yes to this training meant you had to go to another layer of vulnerability. And that's you had to experience that and shed that layer to become the practitioner that you now are, to learn all the things and to open to the things that you have discovered about yourself, to be a practitioner of this modality. So having said that, what would you say, how has this training impacted you personally? Like, what has changed for you about who you are because of this training?
I guess if we're talking about, we were kind of already talking about vulnerability and surrendering. How I show up in my relationships now is completely different. With not just with my partner, but with friends as well, with work colleagues. how I respect myself in those interactions is completely different too. Like, I definitely think the things I was putting up with before, I'd just walk away from now. But I just wouldn't bother. I wouldn't let other people think that that's okay to get away with.
Yeah.
And just because that's kind of where the work is now, is stopping that from being okay. Like, offhanded comments like that about other women is not okay. And just sitting there listening to it is just as bad as saying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else has changed? Doing this. I still have, I won't say I've gotten over them, but massive fears around being seen. And not just being seen in work like this, because that's like quite big on its own, but even just generally being seen, not into it. Good at hiding, good at running away.
She is now.
Definitely have learned to embrace that, which is really, really cool.
What about your relationship with your body? Because I know that has kind of been something that you have talked about before over the course of this training. So how is that changed for you?
Oh, I forgot about that. Because it's normal. Because it's normal for me now, because I love it now. But now I kind of forget that I really did not. That has changed massively. I remember just bawling my eyes out on the retreat when it finally clicked over. Like, it was just this weird moment where I woke up one day on the retreat and was like, oh my gosh, like, I absolutely love my body. Like, I really, really do. And I've had quite a few moments since where I just do that as well. Like, I don't know why it comes up, but I'll just randomly cry there. I'll be like, thank you, I'm so sorry for being mean to you, I love you. And it's really gross. But
really beautiful.
It's really beautiful, but it's just, I'm like, oh, I'm such a dick. But and now it's something that I guess I don't even think about it as an achievement, because it's so, I don't have to practice it anymore. It's just there now. Like, obviously there's little moments where something might happen and I'll be like, ugh, especially when I've got nothing to wear because I have not replenished my wardrobe. But kind of unrelated to how I feel about my body.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing, because clients who come to you, women who come to you, like, as women, we're trained to have insecurities about our bodies, to not like our bodies, and they're going to be on that journey themselves. So for you to have experienced that and to have felt that love for your body, and without having to work on it now, without having to think about it, to hold that space for them as your clients, I think is really fucking powerful. Like, that's a huge thing for you to be able to offer women now. Like, yes, I fucking know what you mean. I've been there, and I can walk with you to change that and embrace that, and to learn to feel what I now feel about my body. Like, that's amazing. I love that that's something that you have experienced and can offer your clients now as a practitioner. There's lots of love hearts and people saying that they love your story on their live. So what, speaking of the retreat, what for you was one of the most profound moments? Like, what was one of the moments that just, like, whether as a practitioner doing the massages where it just sunk in and you really just felt the work in your body, or like, what was something from the retreat that's really impacted you as a practitioner now?
I think, it's so hard, because there was kind of like every massage that you had, or that you gave and received, it was almost like you learned a different lesson out of it. But I think probably during my last massage that I received was really quite special, because I had sort of I knew I was going to start bleeding, but I wasn't quite sure if it was going to happen that day or the next day. So I'd kind of done a little bit of journaling the night before because I thought it would be awesome to be bleeding. And luckily, the practitioner that I was paired with had been manifesting that as well in the background. So of course,
you did it.
yeah. But it was really, really beautiful, and we sort of did a little bit of a meditation or embodiment before the massage to tap into the mother line as that was my intention, and it kind of came up with a few things for me, and one was just fixing my relationship, well, not fixing, but I suppose healing some things within myself, my mother, my grandmother, and everyone along that line. The second was an actual just absolute deep reverence for Mother Earth, which just broke me when I started talking about it.
So powerful.
Yeah. And like my right to be able to love Mother Earth and the pain that we have been causing, and the realization that us healing that and all awakening and rising might lead to nothing for us or something really incredible for us. I don't know. But then the last thing that came up, and I just sort of remembered it when we were having our final call, or it might have been the one before, was that I had this really clear message that it doesn't matter if my mother awakens with me in this lifetime, because we've done this before, like 1,000 lifetimes before together. And I actually don't even know if I talked about that one afterwards or not, but it was this huge, you don't have to be scared that it's not going to happen in this lifetime for both of you together, because you've done it before and you'll do it again.
Wow.
Big lessons, but yeah.
Absolutely. That's so profound. And I think, all of that has shaped who you are as a practitioner. Like that's given you the flavor of what you bring to this work and what you can offer your clients. And so what would you say to a woman who is thinking about having a yoni massage? Like, why should she bother? Like, why is that something that she needs to do for herself?
I kind of think after doing the work, I can't imagine being able to do the work on a deeper level without it. Like, I'm sure there's like tools and things you can use to get there, but I just can't imagine you could connect to your yoni, to your womb space on the same level, which is all completely tied into your intuition, your self-worth, and it's really going to be the space that you pass on your trauma to your children, or not. I just can't imagine doing it as deeply without it.
So it's like it's a fundamental piece that women need to explore or to have or to experience to really lean into their self-development and their self-growth. Like it's huge. It's not just a nice feel-good session with someone. Like, this is a really intensive 3-hour fucking go deep, get vulnerable and step into your power fucking session. Like, that is what this space is about for women. It's so fucking important.
And then every time it just got deeper too. Like, every time it just became a more and more profound experience, because you're more and more willing to surrender and to let go and to just process in whatever way you need to process without shame.
That's a big one. Without the shame. Without the judgment.
Huge. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, one thing that I said to all of you a lot during the training and on the retreat is that you can only take your clients as far as you're willing to go. So what does that now mean to you, now that you're a practitioner and offering this as a modality? What does that mean to you in your sessions?
There's another thing that you said to me several times, that this is what I think. I honestly, I feel this every day. And when you say that too, this is what I think before sessions and stuff as well, is that you have to get out of your own way. Like, you have to get over yourself, you have to get out of your own way, because as much as it's about you, it's not about you. And that is 100% honestly what I live by now, in just my regular, normal, everyday actions. And then I think that is what I'll live by forever, as what guides me into every massage as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I said a lot of things. Excuse me. But
yeah, that was honestly one that hit me so hard though. Because, and I think it was because when I was younger, like, get over it and get over yourself were these massive negative things that just used to make me feel so small and horrible and worthless and meaningless as like a child. But when you said it in that way, I just felt total expansion. And I was like, oh my God, like, for me as a child, those words would have been awful. But when you say it like that, I'm like, whoa, yeah, if we all did this, how different would the world be?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Because this is about you stepping into service. This is about you being of service to women. And you can't be sitting in your shit and being the victim of your life and your circumstances when you go in to serve other women or other people or other beings. Like, you have to get over yourself. You have to get out of the way to give them what they need so that they can awaken. And in the process, you awaken yourself. Like, this isn't about self-sacrificing or not working on yourself to help others, because, you know, and when we talked about this in our final call this week, it's like the healer's prayer in the Course of Miracles talks about, I will heal as I let her teach me to heal. And that's what our clients are doing. We heal ourselves as we hold space for our clients to heal and heal themselves. So it's not about self-sacrificing. It's about being of service. And when you do that service, the ripple effect is that you too awaken and see your shit and grow and expand and step into your own power. So it's twofold, but you can only do that if you're willing to get uncomfortable and to do what's being required of you, and, you know, to hold your client in the way that your intuition is guiding you to, or to help them make the noises or the sounds, or do whatever you're being guided to do with them, whatever they need from you. And you have to be okay with doing that. It's like, you have to get uncomfortable to hold that space for your clients. That's so fucking important. And, you know, I love, like, and one thing that you also spoke about that really sunk in for you was that you don't have to suffer in order to grow, awaken. Like, you don't have to be fucking miserable, whatever, to really grow and expand. Like, when did that really sink in for you?
I actually think it might have been that same day.
Big day.
Yeah, it was a big day. And I think it's because I had been holding on to a lot of fear around, if when we go to the next step, it's going to be really hard. Like, and I'm going to have to suffer to get to the next step. And I don't know if I'll be able to pull myself back together again. I don't know what's going to be on the other side of me changing, was a big fear as well. Was, I have no idea who that woman is going to be once I let that go. Like, what will I have? Who will I be? And then, yeah, the awakening with ease and grace, I definitely think the day.
Oh, I think you froze a little bit there. Yeah, I think that's such, and I remember when you spoke about that on retreat, especially, like, you realized, fuck, this doesn't have to be painful. This doesn't have to be horrific and all of the horrible, hard
No.
things for me to grow into this. And I think from that moment, you really just fucking opened up and you were like, bring it on, let's do this. And, you know, you could see your massage, your energy change, the way you approached doing the massage as a practitioner changed, and how you received, like, you went deeper, you went further, because you were just like, fucking bring it on. This doesn't have to be hard and horrible. This is amazing. And I, you know, after the sessions, you would literally be buzzing, like, after you would do a session, have the energy coursing through your body, and you're like high as a fucking kite. And I love that about you. I love that. You're like, this is amazing.
My pupils were out of control. I was like, who drugged me?
You did that yourself.
I know. It was crazy. I still think it's crazy, but awesome. But I was like, imagine if, like, we make it so hard. And that's all made up. We make it up in our heads that it has to be really hard, so therefore I'm not going to do it because it's easier and comfortable and more safe to be miserable. But it's really not that hard. Like, the bits of it are still hard, but not nearly as the decision to do, like, to push past the fear becomes non-existent anymore, because you're like, I don't have a choice because this is the life I want. This is how I want to feel. And why should I not be able to use body work to get rid of all the shit and deal with all of the emotional baggage that I've been, like, pushing aside for years? Like, why wouldn't that be a natural way? Why would we just turn to medication and numb and drink and eat shit when, like, the other solution is actually pretty fucking easy and enjoyable and fun?
Yeah, exactly. So then
what
would you say to a woman who is not sure about having a yoni massage, who is, you know, who is really feeling the intensity of that fear and just not quite game enough, if you like, to say yes and book in a session? Like, what would you say to her?
I guess it's just about how much worth are you going to put on your life. Like, is it really worth not doing and staying in that state forever, or is it worth trying something that could lead to changing your whole entire life? But imagine not doing it just because you're a little bit scared of what someone else might think or say, who's actually got absolutely nothing to do with your life, no control over it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. It's like, you know, how long are you willing to wait? How long are you going to stay in your smallest? How long are you going to suffer before you'll actually step up and do what your body, your soul, what God is asking of you as a woman, to evolve and to grow and to expand? So yeah, I love that. That's a really good question. It's like, well, okay, how long are you going to stay in that fear then? That's really, really powerful. Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. So what's something you're looking forward to as a practitioner, to stepping into and creating this as your business, being visible as this as a practitioner? What's something that you're really, like, you're just so excited that this is finally you, this is it. You're phasing out of the boring 9 to 5 and this is now what's the most exciting thing about that for you?
Honestly, I can't wait till it's full time, because I know it's going to be really scary at the same time too. Like, that's going to be my next push, is going from guaranteed income every single week to you might not get any clients.
She will, because she's
I will, but like, you know, that and it would, and it is that next push, and it weirdly does not scare me in this, well, just kind of that nervous, anxious fear, but not like a, oh my God, I don't want to go there. It's going to be so hard. It's going to be so horrible. What if I don't get it? There's none of that. It's just pure excitement. Like, do you know how much time I'm going to be able to put into, like, doing all the things that I right now don't enjoy, which is like the social media stuff. I don't enjoy that because I'm on a computer all day at work. I come home, the last thing I want to do is be on the computer. So
Yeah.
I can't wait till that becomes fun, because that is like my purpose and my service, and how I'm going to reach people, and
exactly.
how I'm going to be able to travel the world doing it, like, and picking up all sorts of new exciting tools from all over the place that I can add into my practice. And I'm really excited for that.
I love it. So tell us, beautiful woman, where are you and how can women find you?
I am on Facebook and Instagram. So I think my Instagram is at Amberlee Rose _Yoni. And then my Facebook business page is just Amberlee Rose. So I'll get you some links for those, because I don't think one of them's public yet, but my Instagram's
in the comments.
Definitely public.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just got to click the button on my Facebook to make things happen.
Awesome. And physically, where are you located? Like, you're in Wellington?
In Wellington, yeah. So kind of the studio that I'm working out of is on the Kapiti coast. So it's a little bit closer to people that are maybe further up the region. Potentially could meet somewhere if I can get maybe like a couple in a weekend or something.
Awesome.
But yeah, at the moment, just focusing here.
Wellington Kapiti. Yeah, beautiful. So, and Amberlee is the only Temple of She Yoni massage practitioner in the whole of New Zealand. So she is definitely worth traveling for. And because I have many followers in New Zealand, and many women who have constantly asked, is there a practitioner in New Zealand? Where is she? How can we find her? How can we access her? Beautiful. Amberlee is in Wellington. And she's going to put all of her links in the comments so that you can find her and book in with her. As of March, she will be graduated and open to taking paid client bookings, which is super fucking exciting. And I'm so fucking proud of you. You have done an amazing job. You're an incredible practitioner. So thank you, gorgeous woman, for giving us your time and being here with us. And we will see you all later.
Thank you, Amy.
Bye.